Donkey Kong.
I'd like to call the February 20th, 2018 Poquoson City School Board meeting to order. First up is pledge to the flag and inspirational reading. We have Malia Ford, 6th grader at Poquoson Middle School, who's going to lead us in the pledge, and Isabel Spielberger, 8th grader at Poquoson Middle School, who's going to have the inspiration.
Malia Ford will be leading us in the pledge. She's a 6th grade student in middle school. She enjoys playing volleyball in her free time. Plans to attend Christopher Newport University after she graduates from high school and aspires to become a physical therapist.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Our inspirational reader is Isabel Spielberger. She is an 8th grade student at Poquoson Middle School. She's the president of National Junior Honor Society and the 5th chair flute for all district band. Isabel loves animals and enjoys reading and playing field hockey. After high school, Isabel would like to attend the College of Charleston or James Madison University to become a veterinarian.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to start off by thanking my amazing principal, Mrs. Melissa Bunting, and all of you for allowing me the honor of speaking here tonight. Secondly, I would like to share a few words from author Orly Waba that I read in his book, Kindness Boomerang. Page 12 starts off with a quote by Paul Brandt. "Don't tell me the sky's the limit when there are footprints on the moon." Waba then writes, "There will inevitably be days when you don't feel you can conquer the world, when perhaps you feel as though the world has conquered you. But remember, it is precisely in those moments of weakness when you are given an opportunity to find a great strength within yourself that you never knew you had. Have courage and be strong, because you're worth it, and no one can take that away from you if you don't let them." This goes out to all those who need a reminder that someone out there is betting on them, even if they've stopped betting on themselves for the time being. Remember, hope is never lost. I believe his message speaks to everyone because at times we all lose sight of positivity, and that is one of the things we rely on most in order to cope with daily struggles. When I was called upon to speak here tonight, I asked myself, what inspired me? After reading parts of Waba's book, I became inspired by the overall moral of his stories, the power of positive thinking. This led me to prepare a poem for this very special occasion with which I will close my speech. Every day may not be good, but there is something good in every day. If you get knocked down in the game, get back up and play. Let the thundering roar of victory be a sweet melody to your ears, and never give up because of fear. When it seems life's burdens have taken their toll, don't let the struggle weigh on your soul. Have the courage to look past the gray and just see the good in every day. Thank you all and have a nice evening.
Thank you, Isabel and Malia. Very nice, very well done. Next is student presentations, and students, we'd like to ask you to stay for just a few minutes after your presentation. We're going to take a break so we can out and talk to you. Title of the presentation tonight is Cool Beans Cafe, and Ms. Hopkins' class will be presenting their new job skill training program, Cool Beans Cafe. The students will be sharing their roles in the cafe and what they have learned from serving coffee, tea, and other hot beverages to the PMS faculty and staff. Students participating are Jasmine Baker, Braden Jobst, Jacob Mann, and Alex Sarber.
stockroom manager. I prepare the orders for the barista. I choose the correct K-cup for each order. I deliver the supplies to the barista.
Hi, my name is Brian. I am the barista for Kobe Cafe. My job is to make coffee and tea and hot chocolate.
Hi, my name is Jasmine. I am the barista assistant. I make the sugar and creamer and the drinks. I get them ready for delivery.
Hi, my name is Alex. I am the cashier for Colby's Cafe. I deliver coffee and take care of the money. Hello. $1. You're welcome. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brian. Have two favorite part of the coffee shop. I like being the barista and making the drink. I also like being the cashier so that I can and take and count the money.
Hello, my name is Alex. My favorite part of coffee shop is being the barista assistant. I like adding the sugar and the creamer into the coffee. Thank you to everyone who continues to support us. Please visit us March 22nd at the Instructional Showcase School Board members. Here's a coupon for one free beverage from Cool Bean Cafe in honor of School Board Appreciation Month. We thank you for all that you do. Help make our school great. I hope you enjoy our presentation. Have a good evening.
Right, thank you very much, Ms. Hopkins. And students, you did a wonderful job. I could use a cup of coffee right now myself. Next, are there... Do we have any additions or modifications to the agenda?
We do not this evening.
And next up is recognitions. Dr. Parrish?
Yes. As Dr. Carter makes his way to the podium, I would like to invite our February Student of the Month, Ms. Julie Ellis. Julie is a young lady who shows excellent pride in her school and community. She is a personable student with a positive outlook, communicates well, is ready to step in and help, and is a student others look to as a leader. This young lady puts her peers and their needs before her own. Julie is SCA President, Teams for Troops President, Key Club Publicity Chair, Grade Coordinator for Student to Student, member of National Honor Society, Spanish Honor Society, Mu Alpha Theta, Model United Nations, and Evolution Show Choir. I'm not sure how you have time to do all that, Julie, but I see you pull it off beautifully every time. After high school, Julie will be continuing her education as a Hokie, attending Virginia Tech. Please join us in congratulating the February Student of the Month, Julie Ellis. Next, we'd like to recognize our Volunteer of the Month, so I ask Mr. Brian Olish to come forward, please. Brian is the owner and head instructor at Wolf Martial Arts Academy in Yorktown, Virginia. Brian, already a self-employed veteran of business, began his study of Hapkido in 2011, and like so many of the students he enrolls and teaches today, he came to love the movement, philosophy, and attitude promoted through this practice. Brian has been a guest speaker each quarter at Poquoson Middle School and presented whole class period lessons to all middle school students through physical education classes. His presentation served as a follow-up to the lessons on respect and fairness, the character traits which were the focus of our TASLA program during the first semester. These lessons focus on students valuing themselves as individuals and respecting peers for their differences. He encourages students to always have self-confidence and to never let negative comments from others define you. Brian's specialty is using martial arts to cultivate a greater appreciation for kindness and compassion. He incorporates work ethic, fitness, self-defense, personal empowerment, and positive attitude in his lessons. Mr. Olish is an active member of the community and partners with Poquoson Middle School and other local schools in York County to help raise awareness and combat bullying. He works diligently to educate and empower students to make choices that will positively impact themselves and others. Mr. Olish plans to return during third and fourth quarter to focus on the traits of trust and caring with all the middle school students. Please join me in congratulating Brian for being our Volunteer of the Month. And I want to personally thank you as well. I've heard wonderful things about what you're doing with our students, so thank you so much. Thank you. Next, we'd like to honor two of our middle school students for becoming part of the All Virginia Middle School Honors Choir. First, I'd like Meredith Walters to come forward. Meredith is a 7th grade student at Poquoson Middle School. She was recently selected to perform in the All Virginia Middle School Honors Choir. Over 1,000 students auditioned for this opportunity. In her free time, Meredith enjoys playing basketball and the piano. She currently plans to attend Belmont University after graduating from high school and pursue a career in singing. Please join me in congratulating Meredith for this state honor. And Anna Hubbard, if you'd please come forward. Anna is an 8th grade student at Poquoson Middle School. She was recently selected as well to perform in the All Virginia Middle School Honors Choir. The choir is composed of the best singers from grades 6 through 8 from across the Commonwealth of Virginia. Anna enjoys playing basketball, listening to music, and learning different languages. After graduation, Anna plans to attend college and pursue a degree in business, accounting, or journalism while minoring in linguistics. Please join me in congratulating Anna for making the State Honors Choir. And I do want to say to both of the young ladies here that since I've been here, you are the first two that I am aware of making that choir from Poquoson, so it's quite an accomplishment. Congratulations. We keep deviating a little bit from the script because this happens to be School Board Clerk Appreciation Week. And so our wonderful board chair, Dr. Carter, has a gift to Mrs. Lena Reimers, who acts as our school board clerk and helps to meet whatever needs they have during the course of the year. So a big thank you from the board to Ms. Lena Reimers.
And at this point, we will take a short break. Okay, next up is presentations. Sorry. Catch up. Next up is presentations and reports, and first is our financial update with Ms. Woodruff.
Good evening, Chairman Carter, members of the school board, and Dr. Parrish. As a quick note about the budget, on Sunday evening, the House and Senate subcommittees issued their budget reports. We are waiting for more details to be released from the Virginia Department of Education, and Dr. Parrish will provide you with additional information during the budget update during the work session immediately following this meeting. And I also want to update you on benefits. As you know, last year we made a number of changes to the health plans. This year, we issued an RFP for both health and dental insurance, and we had a good response to the RFP, and the results are favorable for us. I am meeting with the Benefits Committee next week to discuss the RFP results and to get their input on the health and dental plans. The Benefits Committee is comprised of 3 teachers from each of the 4 schools. We meet 2 or 3 times during the year to discuss benefits, and the committee was instrumental in providing input last year with regard to some of the changes for the health plans, and I look forward to meeting with them again next week. And that concludes my report.
Questions, comments? Thank you very much. Next up is the operations update with Mr. Pappas.
Good evening, Chairman Carter, School Board, Dr. Parrish. You may have noticed that the Homerun Fence at Bradshaw Field has been completed. It's 200 feet from home plate to the fence, and it circumnavigates from the third base foul line all the way across to the first base field foul line, first baseline foul line. It's 6 feet tall. It includes a plastic fence crown that will help ensure that students who are jumping to catch a home run don't hit the top of the fence. They'll hit that plastic, and it's a safety feature. Among the many inspections that transpire each year for us at PCPS, we have a pressurized vessel inspection every year. We have numerous, whether they're boilers that provide heat or they're in the kitchen, and we had our pressurized vessel test this month, and it was conducted, and we passed for each one. In the area of food service, last month we had our food service federal program administrative review called an FPAR, and that's where they come in and they review for any and all deficiencies in compliance with all facets of food service, including menus, nutritional compliance, production records, free and reduced processes, financials, wellness policy, just to name a few. During the exit interview with the superintendent, we learned that we passed our review and had one finding due to a typographical data entry problem as we were entering something into a computer. The error was corrected on the spot, and as such, there were no corrective actions noted. In the area of transportation, you may recall back in December, we had received some information from the Department of Education that a grant was available through the EPA's National Clean Diesel Rebate Program. We met the deadline, and today we were notified that PCPS was selected and that we will receive $20,000 towards the acquisition of a new higher efficiency school bus for this year. And that concludes my operations report.
Sir, any questions, comments? It's about the $20,000. Thank you. Next up, instructional update, Dr. Fox.
Thank you. Good evening, Chairman Carter, Vice Chair Whitaker, members of the board, and Dr. Parrish. Last month, the school board approved the program of studies for the 2018-19 school year. Our middle and high school students have been busy reviewing courses and meeting with school counselors to make course requests. Counselors have met with 5th grade and 8th grade students to provide insights about the transitions to middle school and high school and provide information about their course options. Also, parent information nights have been held at the middle school and the high school for students who will be in grades 6 through 9 next year. Poquoson Primary School held 2 kindergarten registration and orientation opportunities for parents. on February 5th and 6th. Rising kindergarten students and their families registered, signed up for screenings, toured the school, made a craft, met new friends, and are ready for next year. Currently, there are 89 students registered, but we suspect that there may be many more in the community who have not yet registered. If any of our families did not have an opportunity to attend one of the registration events, we ask that they stop by the primary school during school hours or go to our webpage where they can find additional information on the process. Our students in 8th grade and 11th grade will be taking their writing SOL during the week of March the 5th. Students will sit for 2 portions of the test. The first section is a multiple choice style test, which is comprised of items that require students to correct errors embedded in selections that are intended to model rough drafts of writing prompts. The second writing portion of the writing SOL asks students to write a short paper in response to a prompt. The scores from both of those assessments are combined and provide an overall SOL writing assessment score for each student. The results of these assessments are not expected until later this school year, and once we have more information, we'll share them with you, the results with you. Through our Department of Defense Educational Activity, or our DODEA STEM grant, members of our Division STEM Committee and our Division Math Committee are participating in professional development this week on things such as inquiry learning, which includes hands-on activities and demonstrations, the use of manipulatives, and the development of various assessments. Staff from the Virginia Department of Education and the Technical Training and Assistance Center from ODU are providing some of the training as well as ongoing support for us. And finally, tonight, our project-based learning DODEA grant is also in full swing as the middle school prepares for their first year of implementation. A team of middle school teachers and staff members are traveling to Chesterfield County Schools where they will observe PBL in action and talk with students and teachers about their implementation process. A team from the high school visited Chesterfield last year, and they gave us very positive feedback about how rewarding and valuable that experience was, so we're duplicating that for the middle school this year. That concludes my report this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Fox. Any questions, comments? What was the Chesterfield thing? PDL, is that what you said?
PBL, project-based learning?
Oh, okay, PBL, okay, got it.
Yes.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Any public comment? Thank you. And Ms. Whitaker, could you walk us through the consent agenda, please?
Absolutely. There are 6 items on this evening's consent agenda. Approval of financial reports, approval of personnel action, authorization to change appropriation and to accept request, authorization to dispose of surplus property, and approval of minutes of public forum on budget.
Thank you, ma'am. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Reimers, could you call for a vote, please?
Mr. Holcomb?
Aye.
Ms. Mosteller?
Aye.
Ms. Sheeler?
Aye.
Vice Chair Whitaker?
Aye.
Chairman Carter?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. And other matters for consideration, Dr. Perry?
Yes, you first have the consideration of the approval of first reading of changes to policy 6-1, which ties to accreditation. You have a reading file, and attached to that, the policy with a strike-through. We realized as we looked at this that we still had advanced ed listed as an accreditation body that we were working with, but several years ago, the school board decided to no longer participate with them, in part because of cost, the time, and the fact that the state was creating a new state accreditation system that covered many of the areas that advanced ed did. So this policy changes to bring us in line with practice in the school division. So I recommend that we approve this as the first reading and move it to second reading this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any questions or comments there? Pretty straightforward. Ms. Reimers, could you call for a vote, please?
Mr. Holcomb?
Aye.
Ms. Mosteller?
Aye.
Ms. Sheeler?
Aye.
Vice Chair Whitaker?
Aye.
Chairman Carter?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Next is consideration of approval of the capital improvement plan priority list through fiscal year 23. Dr. Parrish.
Yes, what you have here on the screen is a proposed priority list for the school division in terms of capital projects. As you may remember, City Council held a retreat earlier this month, actually, to talk about what would be occurring in terms of the capital improvement plan for the city, what type of funding they may look to go after to support a CIP, and then based on that, how they would direct that funding. So what they decided at that meeting is that they would look at potentially providing the school division with $20 million to use to your liking on capital projects that are on your CIP. What has been requested is that we provide a priority list because this will help city staff, especially as they work with the financial advisor for the city, Davenport. So as they look to try and balance out the debt funding that they would be acquiring to accomplish this work, as well as the fact that they would have to, in order to fund this, look at a tax increase and how that might look as it comes forward in the budget this spring in the city and then in future years. So what we have here on the screen is, as I said earlier, a proposal. So I'm going to walk you through this in terms of the dollar figure. These should all be very familiar to you because all of these were on the capital improvement plan that you did approve in December. It's just now what we're doing is providing a framework for a priority list, which looks a little different than it did when it was on your capital improvement plan. So I'm going to start with number one. You might find it interesting that we have one bus replacement there, but it ties into the good news that we got from Mr. Pappas today. We did receive a $20,000 grant for a bus, but we need to spend that as soon as possible. So in order to acquire the $20,000, we need funding to pay for the full cost of the bus, which is a full cost of the bus is $88,000. So we're asking for the bus replacement to come first so that we can acquire those grant funds that have been awarded to us and combine those with the funding for the bus replacement. So it's to take advantage of saving $20,000 on a bus. That's why that's item number one, because we'll need to purchase that as soon as there's funding available. Then the next one is the middle school renovation, which you all talked about as part of your decision-making with regard to school consolidation, and made the decision not to consolidate schools and to move on with major capital work on the middle school. So what you see here is that we're listing the amount as a little bit over $17 million. We know as we look at the options that were laid out by the architectural and engineering company when they did the facility study back in 2013, that puts you around option 3, which is modernization, and we had a conversation about that in some of our meetings. I do want to stress that once we determine that $17 million is the money that will be available to us, then we'll be able to prioritize exactly what we want to do with that building. So you may be pulling from option 2, option 3, there might even be something in option 4, or the work that will be done on that building. I just want to make sure you, as board members in our community, understands that we're not bound to what's in the option. That provided us a good framework to get a sense of what could we accomplish with X set of dollars. So I want you to know that we've got a lot of work ahead of us once we know the dollar value is concrete as to what we'll move forward and do with that building. I did attach to your reading file as well an estimated project disbursement timeline for the middle school. That was something else that city staff needed as they start these conversations with the financial advisor and look at the debt funding that they will incur. So it gives them an idea based on information, again, from the architectural engineering firm. We asked them to provide this, so it gives you a sense of the length of time from the minute that we know that we'll have the funding to completion of the project and when funding will need to be released for the project, because that's important as the city works through the funding. So what you see here is obviously the bulk of the $20 million would be spent on the middle school renovation. Option number 3 becomes the high school roof replacement at over $1.4 million. Please know that we've included in this a design evaluation and a construction management estimation because now that we know we likely can move forward with this, we will have somebody come in to design exactly what that replacement may be. What we have learned is it may be that we'll actually be able to save some money, and the dollar amount for the cost of the roof may not be as high, but we've had to put the possibility of the highest amount there so that we do capture that funding. And then you see again the primary school roof replacement at over $1 million. So we've put those behind the middle school renovation, thinking that if we were to run over with the middle school renovation, we have a little cushion in there. It means that we would have to contend with the roof scenario, but if we could save some money in the roof scenario, ultimately, we would push that back into the renovation. So we didn't want to do the roofs before the renovation because our thinking is that middle school renovation is probably the most important project you have on here, so we want to make sure that we've got the funding. And at the city council retreat, there was some discussion of the fact that, we've got to understand what our limit is and keep the project funded within that limit. So it gives us a little bit of a flexibility there at the end. And then we have, as option number 5 bus replacements. Now, is not the complete number of bus replacements that you had on your CIP, but in working with $20 million, we brought you forward to replace 5 more. Remember, one being replaced likely this summer, grant funding, so we would see some bus replacements. Then after these were done, we'd have to look back at our replacement schedule because we'd have more buses to replace, but we wanted to at least be able to do some of those. What we've listed here, number 6, is the high school gym HVAC project that is on your CIP. We've put it here as if there were monies available after these projects. It does come at an estimated cost of $183,000, that it would be something to consider. I'm not overly confident that likely that money would be there, but we felt important to list it there if somebody were to say, well, what happens if you did spend $17 million on the middle school renovation, you came under on the cost of the roofs, what might you do with that? So that, I think, puts that cushion there. So the total here, as you see, totals to $20 million would be the total cost of the CIP projects. And again, that is the dollar figure that City Council asked at their retreat that we work with. Realize that the CIP will need to go through the Planning Commission, get their approval, and then we'll go back to council again for them to approve it, as well as the final expenditures on that. So we're still in the process here of moving through the capital improvement plan, but we're certainly moving forward, and I anticipate we'll continue to do so in the next couple of months. And when the city presents its operating budget, some of that may be tied into decision-making in terms of capital plan because of the need to find funding. With that, I am recommending approval of this proposal, but know that in your discussion, after likely your motions, you all are welcome to shift and move around. I just wanted you to understand the rationale for what we brought forward to you this evening. And I did send this to you earlier, so you had a little time to look at it.
All right, thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the capital improvement and priority list?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Questions, comments?
I do have a question. What is the, how much life is remaining on these 2 roofs?
I don't have that in front of me. I'll have to get that to you, but, I think we're pushing towards it. It's why it's on there. I think you've got probably 25 years on school roof. I'm looking at Mr. Pappas.
They have a useful life just like the roof at your home. Optimal world, you change it at or prior to that date, but these are holding. You have the ability.
And the 5 school buses, which ones, how old are the ones that they would replace?
We've got buses that run as old now, currently 15, 20 years. So remember that and during the midst of the recession, it used to be that the state said that you'd replace your buses every 12 years, so they pushed that up to 15 years to use funding in that way. But we've got buses that are 15 plus in service. So I will say every year, I think almost for the last 8 years, we've been replacing buses. The city's been very supportive of replacing 1 or 2 buses a year, so we've been continuing to do so, but we have many more that are of the age that need to be replaced.
design evaluation for the high school roof. Have any idea what that entails?
I'm going to bring Mr. Pappas up to the mic so that he can talk you through it, because he can best explain that. Sorry.
In discussion with the roof consulting firm that did the initial appraisals of all of our roofs back in 2012 or 2013, I discussed with him the fact that there's a plethora of mediums that can be used and which is the best, and I'm going to need some assistance with that. So we're looking at everything from speccing the process to help eliminate going through the RFP process of different people suggesting different products. These people don't install roofs. They're experts at roofs. They have no vested interest. And they can help us select a roof medium, put out an RFP for that roof medium, work through all the construction documents, and take us straight through completion of the product. Part of that will also be a special thermography test, which will help us determine whether or not there's the ability to re-roof on top of our existing roof, in which case we would save some considerable money. So to me, that's well worth spending. Takes us from conception through completion at project management.
So they're coming in and they're saying, okay, here's what you have. This is the best material to use
Yes.
on the roof type.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
To give us the longest life that we can get for our dollars. The roofing has changed materially since I've been in the business. You no longer can bring the propane tanks up on the roof. I mean, it's a completely different process, and these people know roofing. That's what they do. And they don't install, so there's...
They're just telling us the material that we would get the biggest bang for our buck.
They would draw the construction documents. They would help us with on-site development of the project itself and take us right through closing and punch list.
So that design evaluation, that's for high school and the primary school?
Yes, both. And construction management, if you will, for both. And the thermography test, which gives us an assessment of additional cost-saving capabilities that are at our disposal.
Okay, so the $42,000 is lumped into the high school roof replacement cost.
Right.
But
because we would do that one, we would actually do that one first, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's in that dollar value, but it would happen concurrently, and then...
Okay, and then the estimate for the primary roof based on their evaluation.
Back in the original estimate.
Okay.
We added that money, and the reason it's here is a note, because now that the reality is here that we might actually be able to do these, to look like what's the best way to determine exact material and how to manage it. So that's why we made a note on this here, because if you happen to have your CIP from December, you'd see that there's that increase in cost to it. So we wanted to explain that to you, because we've been working, especially Mr. Pappas, since, we were dollars.
That's amazing.
Pappas, you said, you used the term test?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's, can you explain that?
Sure. What that is they're looking for water absorption below the top membrane, which we all have a top membrane, whether it's our skin or the asphalt on your house or the tar on our school roofs. Below that, on a school roof, is about this much insulation. Each section is about an inch thick, and it crisscrosses and it goes throughout. When you have a perforation in the exterior skin, you absorb water. And then the leak shows up over there, but the hole was over there. And what they do is they discern how much of your roof your insulation has been subjected to moisture. If it is less than a certain percentage of the project, typically 25%, then you are a candidate for re-roofing, which you could do in your own homes. You're allowed by code to have 2 layers of roof on your house, or in this case, your business. And there's considerable savings to be garnered if that's the case. But we can't know until we do it.
So we don't have multiple layers right now?
No, 1 layer. That was a precursor to being able to do this. Yes, ma'am.
So is there a possibility, let's say it's less than 25% moisture, we could actually put another roof on top of that one, and the price would be considerably?
It would be less, yes. Because the amount of work to rip the whole thing off, keep it dry, and it's...
And replace it all? Yeah, got it.
Right. And there's a difference in, so anyhow, that, to me, that, trying to be a good steward, as we all are, that's a viable option for us to consider.
Absolutely, absolutely. Anybody else?
I would just like to put in a plug to maybe move, if not all of the bus replacements up in the list, maybe 1 or 2. When you look at this list, comparatively speaking, they're smaller. We could move 1 or 2 buses up there for our kids' safety. Get them a couple more new buses, at least 15, 20-year-old. Out of the fleet, but if not, I get it.
I do want to sure everybody understands the buses are safe, like our students are safe on our buses, old, and that means that, our garage may have to do more work than they would on a newer bus, but I certainly don't want community members listening to be concerned that the traveling on our buses aren't safe, because they are inspected regularly, and whenever anything happens, the garage, it's actually one of our shared services, fantastic in getting them back on the road. So, but with that said, we do have some old buses. So,
yeah, excellent point.
Yeah.
To piggyback on what Ms. Whitaker just said, I know our buses are numbered. Are they prioritized as far as this one needs?
Yes. In fact, we just received a bus that we ordered last summer, and it is not our oldest bus that we will be replacing. We're replacing a bus that, in conjunction with discussions with the driver and the garage, we know a younger bus than our older bus is the one that needs to go, because it's a problem. It costs too much money to maintain. The garage is great at working on them and working with us and keeping the ones running. Don't mean to make a plug and don't mean to take too much time, but the Toyota 4Runner, everybody knows that thing just runs forever, and you get certain engines that just run forever. And the oldest bus we have that we were considering replacing is such a vehicle.
And I think you bring up a good point as well. Newer buses, less maintenance, better. So operating cost would come down not $440,000. Anybody else? So I'm still thinking about Ms. Whitaker's comments. Are we in stone? Number 1 has to be done first, has to be done second. Could we, maybe when we're in early phase of number 2, maybe pops up and, it's dead, basically, and it needs to be replaced? Could we, in between step 1, 2, 3, or 4?
What I could do is talk to the city manager, and I'm wondering if we could put a note next to 5 to say, if we do have buses that become particularly troublesome with maintenance, like the one that Mr. Pappas talked about, could we shift some of that money to buy, to replace 1 or 2 of those buses? So leave it sitting here at 5 with the asterisks of, could we shift if we find, in working with the garage, they will certainly let us know if there's one, hey, can we replace it? I suspect that probably will not be much of an issue. But I can talk to him about that. Because when you look at the total funding, I hate to say it, but the buses are I hate to word cheapest, but they are the cheapest item individually on the list. So it might be that, and I'm sure the garage would actually appreciate that as well. I'll look to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you very much. Anybody else? Right. With the note on item number 5, going to back to council for consideration. Ms. Reimers, would you call for a vote, please?
Aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, ma'am. Next up is consideration of approval of proclamation for National School Breakfast Week, Career and Technical Education Month. There are roughly 8 million students in the United States who participate in the National School Breakfast Program, and studies have shown that access to nutritious programs such as this help to create a strong learning environment for children and helps to improve children's concentration in the classroom. And Career and Technical Education Month. Economic and technological changes in our society are rapidly reflected in the structure and nature of today's workplace, thereby placing new additional responsibilities on our educational system. That career and technical education is part of the foundation of a strong, well-educated workforce that fosters productivity in business and industry and contributes to Virginia's leadership in international marketplace. With good programs. Do I have a motion to approve both proclamations? And a second? Any questions, comments here? All right, Ms. Reimers, could you call for a vote, please?
Aye.
Ms. Monsteller?
Aye.
Ms. Sheeler? Aye. Vice Chair Whitaker?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Next up, applications and other matters for school board and/or superintendent. Dr. Parrish.
Thank you, and I do have a few comments this evening, so please bear with me. First, I want to thank you as board members and also city council members, but for us talking about doing a major renovation on the middle school, and the fact that our council members are willing to find funding for us to undertake that renovation is very much appreciated, especially so soon after having just come out of the Great Recession. So it's an exciting time. We're going to have lots of work ahead of us, but I just think this is going to be an incredible opportunity for our students and for our community. So thank you, board members and city council members, for getting us to where we are now, and I know you'll continue your hard work as we move forward with this project, as well as the roofs and the buses, because those are important as well. I wanted to recognize that we have Ms. Gwen Lee in the audience, our school liaison officer based Langley and Eustis, and I know she travels to school board meetings all over the place, so we always love it when she comes to visit us. And we did not know she was coming, but Dr. Fox referenced 2 of our Department of Defense grants, which she helps to support us in that area. So thank you for the work you continue to do for our families. As we continue to get more families off of, especially for us Langley, we're always excited to have you working with us, so thanks. I also, too, tonight certainly want to say that my thoughts and prayers, as I'm sure all of ours are with Parkland students and families and community members there. I know that some of our community members, as one would expect after a tragedy like this, have had some discussion out there about the procedures that we use for school safety as well as our security measures. So I really do encourage everyone, if you go to our website, we have a brief presentation. It's a PowerPoint with me narrating it over, and you can get to it on the homepage of the division website as well as all of the websites under announcements. So if you just take a few minutes, I think you will see just an outline of the many things that we do, and by all means it doesn't cover all of it, but I do think folks will be able to get a sense of how hard we work in this area, whether it's in building security, how we do threat assessments, drills, and how closely we certainly work with law enforcement. We also are going to have that presentation running on our TV channel by the end of the week as well. So if folks happen to scroll through their stations, they'll see that up there as well. I just thought it was another way for folks to see that. So we always, whenever there is a crisis or a tragedy, we learn from that. I've already spoken to Chief Bowen, and law enforcement does receive information once investigations are done, even when they're out of state. So we'll certainly take any input that he is able to garner from folks, and we'll certainly share it with us every summer. As you know, we update our crisis management plan, and then we share it with you in August, so we'll be doing that again this year. Also, as Ms. Woodruff mentioned, we are in budget season. It's very fluid, and the General Assembly is working diligently on the budget, so it's very important that we get the information that we need from them. So because it is a longer session, they're not expected to be done till March 10th. So we should, assuming that they do finish on March 10th, we should be able to base the budget presentation that I'll come forward with on March 20th with accurate data from the General Assembly. But I'll talk a little bit more about that in the work session. I want to congratulate students. I suspect Curtis will probably touch on this too, but we've had some great success in our state championships. So our wrestlers took the team championship, and we had a number of wrestlers who also took individual state titles. We had swimmers that took individual state titles at the state swim competition last week, and we have students who will later this week be competing in indoor track in the state championships. And our girls basketball team is still marching through postseason play, so we'll see what happens there. But I do want to congratulate folks, and we will be bringing these students to you at the March meeting for recognition. So I would say to you, a very full house at the March meeting, but we're excited to do that. And finally, our coffee students with the coffee business stated this, but I wanted to reiterate the fact that not only is it School Board Clerk Appreciation Week, it's School Board Appreciation Month. So I do want to express my appreciation on behalf of the school division to our board members for the work that they do. They attend, as everyone knows, numerous meetings during the course of the year. You worked really hard this year, especially in the area of school consolidation. So we had some extra work sessions, and you looked at a lot of data and a lot of information for several months. And so I just want to thank you for the hard work that you always do, but I wanted to highlight that this year certainly has been a busy year for you, and will continue so as we move through CIP projects that we discussed tonight. So thank you for all that you do. Our students and our staff and our community members, you certainly play an important role in behalf of everyone, and say thank you for that. Those are the end of my comments.
All right. Curtis?
This past month, Poquoson Elementary School students were able to watch educational presentations inside the Dome Theater, which is a dome-shaped tent set up in the gym where students watch a movie projected over the ceiling of the dome. Third graders watched The Dinosaur Prophecy, fourth graders saw Passport to the Universe, and fifth graders watched Night of the Titanic. PES is participating in America Reads One Book by giving each student a copy of the book Lemonade War. The book is about a brother and sister who are competing to see who can earn the most money selling lemonade. If you would like to hear someone reading this book, you will find the book on the school website with different people you might know reading a chapter from the book. Dr. Parrish reads a chapter, and you'll have to go on the website to find out which one she reads. PES will have a family financial literacy night on March 14th to celebrate this fun event. Stay tuned for more information. Poquoson Middle School conducted parent informational nights for our rising 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students during the month of February. Topics covered during these events included course information, the registration process, preparing students for high school and beyond. The PMS library is gearing up to host Oscars for books on March 2nd. Students create book-shaped cakes decorating with their favorite scenes from their favorite books. All students are invited to participate, and cake pans are available in the library to be checked out. 8th grade students are currently integrating technology into using Spiros. Let's Recap It and Cahoots are being used to review and prepare for the Writing SOL on March 6th and 7th. 7th grade students have been completing writing and research assignments through social studies classes on what it is like to live in the trenches during World War I. Students in 6th grade math are learning how to solve equations using balance scales, and stock market is being incorporated into our financial literacy classes to help students connect with global economy with virtual investing and real-world learning. The Take a Stand, Lend a Hand bullying prevention program at PMS is focusing on trust for the third quarter. The PHS Bulls are often running into the second semester, both in and out of the classroom. Students are engaged in meaningful learning experience across the curriculum. For example, students in calculus are using principles of mathematics and physics to design and build model roller coasters. Students in marketing courses analyze techniques using this year's Super Bowl commercials. Students in our German classes received results from the National German exam, with 9 PHS students earning medals at the national level. Our Islanders are excelling in their extracurricular activities as well. Students brought home a host of awards from the local DECA competition, as well as the all-district band and choir competitions, with 2 students earning all-state choir honors. The Islanders reached postseason with every winter sport, with an outstanding showing from the swimming meet, where Morgan Miller earned 2 state titles for the boys 200 relay. 2 state titles in the boys 200 relay, placed third, as well as state wrestling tournament, where PHS took top spot as 2A state champion, along with a number of individual awards looking to the future. Our SCA is bringing our school community together by sponsoring Spirit Week for the 2nd year in a row, which will kick off on March 5th and feature Pep Rally on March 9th and will accumulate with Spring Fest on March 10th. Students in the PHS marketing courses are creating promotional videos to advertise the event, and we look forward to recognizing all incredible talents of our school community during this festive celebration. Finally, the Poquoson High School would like to thank the Poquoson Education Foundation for the ongoing support and generous awarding during our numerous grants to creative instructional ideas. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Holcomb.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think we should ask Dr. Parrish to go last from now on because she took all my points and comments. Great job, sports teams and athletes. Also wanted to add my condolences to Parkland, Florida, those affected by that horrific event. I wanted to really highlight her comments on the school board, so I'll leave it with that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Costello.
First, I'd like to thank Lena for all she does for the board. You really deserve the recognition tonight. Very glad to have you on staff. As always, I'd like to thank the individuals who presented and were recognized tonight and tell you to keep up the good work. I can't wait to use my coupon for a free beverage, and I'm sure that the staff at the middle school are enjoying having Cool Beans Cafe. As a softball parent, obviously, I was very happy to hear about the new fence, and so I thank you from the softball families. And last, I just would like to wish best of luck for those trying out for spring sports this week, as well as those winter sports. Best of luck in the regionals and semifinals.
I just want to say a couple things. I really am always inspired by our inspirational reader, but Isabella Spielberger really did a good job today with the power of positive thinking and seeing the good in every day. That just really did me. Yeah, and I'm also very excited about the Cool Beans Cafe free coffee coming.
Yes.
Yeah, and of course the capital improvement plan priority list is really exciting because it'll bring exciting changes and renovations to the middle school. We hope to stretch our dollars as much as we can over the years as we get that project done, but wow, it's going to be really exciting.
Ma'am. Ms. Whitaker?
No comments tonight.
All right, well, I also would like to comment on our positive thinking and thinking positive thoughts to overcome a negative day. That's huge, and if you can ever wrap your brain around that, handle on doing that, you'd be surprised at what you can accomplish. And also, I would like to thank the City Council for considering and being able to give us the money to do some of the things that we've only dreamed about for years. I can't express on behalf of the board our appreciation, enough of that appreciation. Our responsibility is going to be to take what give us and to spend it as wisely as possible. And I was asking some of the questions I was asking of Mr. Pappas, and I think we're going to really have to question how we spend our money. Sure, think it through, not jump to any good stewards of the money that they've given us, so to get the biggest benefit possible for the city and for our students. So, and with that, do we have any material for board review?
We do not this evening.
Right, then we will adjourn to the work session. Thank you.